Can a member of the House get elected president? Welcome to The Beat with CQ Roll Call. Today's beat is politics. We'll be answering that question and others with Roll Call Associate Politics Editor Christina Bellantoni. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we have three members of the House who may or may not be running for president. Michelle Bachmann, Ron Paul, and Paul Ryan's name is being floated. When was the last time someone from the House was actually elected president?
Got to stretch your mind way back to James Garfield in 1880, basically to say that members of the House don't receive their party's nomination and then they don't win the presidency. And sort of an interesting question as to whether it's possible, whether they can, because when you're in the Senate, you have a much larger platform, you have much better name recognition. When you're in the House, you're just one of 435.
Does the partisanship of House districts affect that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And Michelle Bachmann is a good example. You know, she's extremely conservative. She may not be able to win statewide in Minnesota. In fact, polls show that she couldn't. So when you're a senator, you have to moderate a little bit and be able to appeal to everyone. Whereas when you're a member of the House, you know, certainly you can be extreme in one sense or the other.
Now, Democrats have been trying to portray Paul Ryan's Medicare plan as extreme. To what extent has that become a campaign issue?
It's been a huge campaign issue. You've seen very interesting Democrats and Republicans campaigning on this. You've got the National Republican Congressional Committee, you know, focusing on saying that Democrats, they don't have the right kind of plan or they want to add to the deficit.
The national debt is now $14 trillion, and Congressman Brad Miller just voted for $2 trillion more debt.
You've got the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee targeting Republicans who voted for that Ryan budget plan, which does dramatically overhaul Medicare, and this is a way Democrats are attempting to scare seniors into voting for them. However, it is very important to note that in 2010, Ryan had this plan. It's basically the same plan he presented when the Republicans were in the minority, and Democrats attempted to campaign on that. It was not successful.
So speaking of 2012, have we reached the phase where the race is actually underway? Do we know kind of who's in the field yet?
Sort of, which is why you're getting all of these stories in all of the media saying that Republicans are unsatisfied with the field. This happens every single cycle. You saw it with the Democrats. You saw voters would tell pollsters that they'd prefer someone else or that they'd like to see Al Gore jump in, for example, in 2008. And the Republicans, Sarah Palin is this big question mark. She did this giant bus tour to generate some national excitement. Polls show that she probably couldn't get her party's nomination even though she has the best name recognition. So other than Sarah Palin, really you have an established field. Mitt Romney is clearly the front runner. He's going to continue to get a lot of attention in national polls. You may have some people jump in or out, but right now we know who is basically running. And it's going to be a summer of campaigning in Iowa, campaigning in South Carolina, campaigning in New Hampshire, and the start of the debates is going to be very interesting. It'll weed out who are the serious candidates and who aren't.
Is there still a chance for a last-minute entry like Rick Perry to really shake up the race, or is that window closing?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I don't know that there's anyone out there that we haven't heard of. I think if somebody jumps in, it's going to be someone like Perry, the governor of Texas, or somebody like Chris Christie in New Jersey. You've had this sort of draft Christie movement afoot in South Carolina, and in other places you had Iowa donors trying to get him to come to Iowa. He says repeatedly he's not interested, as does Paul Ryan, by the way. A lot of people say that he could, you know, potentially accept a draft movement, but he doesn't appear to be interested. So there are some chances that there's going to be this big surprise, but I think for the most part you're looking at, you know, Mitt Romney, former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty. You've got some people on the fringes. You're going to have Ambassador John Huntsman jumping in, and I think they're going to be the ones really competing for this nomination.
Okay, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.